Hey guys, how you doing? Starvin' Martian here, and hey, do you remember Furbies? If you were around in the late 90s, chances are you do. Chances are you have one of these floating around in your attic somewhere. Everybody, it seems, had a Furby. They were the big hit. They talked, they moved, you fed them, you petted them, they interacted with you, they interacted with each other, and they were the next big thing. But apparently, somebody at Warner Brothers thought that this looked too much like this. And there was talks, from what I hear, of lawsuits and copyright infringements, and how dare you steal our design to make your Furby? And you know, I don't personally really see it. I mean, they do both have his long ears, his googly eyes, little mouthpiece, but aside from that, I never thought the two looked terribly similar, but apparently somebody did, and so there was some back and forth, and before it actually got to the court, they settled with an agreement that made both parties happy because both parties would get a percentage of the profit, and that was the Gizmo Furby, an officially licensed Gremlins Furby designed to look more like Gizmo. Now, does he actually look like Gizmo? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide how well they did. But for what they were working with, I suppose they got as best as they could. Um, so when this thing came out, I was a teenager and I loved the Gremlin movies, still do. And so I was eager to run out. Took a bus up to Kmart because I didn't have a car yet, and grabbed this thing first week it was available. And I got it back home and slapped the four AA batteries in his rear end and started playing with him. And I have to say, I was a tad bit disappointed. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Furbies, if you don't know, are notoriously difficult to get to do and say what you want them to do and say. They have a long list of potential words, expressions, etc. So I might tell you he says something and he's not going to do it on camera right now. So you're just going to kind of have to take my word for it. Um, but when you're making a talking gizmo, there's certain things that immediately you think this must be included. The little Mogwai song he likes to hum, for example. Bright light, bright light, that kind of thing. Um, and actually, when you watch the movies, he doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue. In the first movie, aside from bright light, he makes some noises, some sounds. He says hi to Billy at the end, or goodbye rather to Billy, and that's about it. So they didn't have a whole lot to draw off of, but the little bit that they did have, they didn't include. He doesn't have any of the lines. He doesn't do that wonderful Mogwai song that he likes to sing in both films. It's a little disappointing. But the weirdest thing about this guy is the rules. You all know the three rules for taking care of Mogwai. Never get him wet, never feed him after midnight, and never expose him to bright light, especially sunlight because it can kill him. Well, this guy breaks all three of the rules. Okay, for example, um, getting him wet, well, they weren't going to include an ability to make smaller Furbies by making this guy wet. I understand that. But according to the first movie, you can't get him wet. You're not even supposed to feed him water. You can't drink water. Yet when you feed him, which hopefully you'll hear him do in a minute, he makes this noise slurp, slurp, which sounds very much like he's drinking. Um, you can feed him any time, day or night, so it doesn't matter if it's after midnight. I mean, I suppose that would have caused some extra programming, have a little internal clock in there, but wouldn't that be neat if he refused food after midnight? And as far as bright lights go, well, you can see he's in bright light now. Um, for a Furby, that's necessary. There's a little sensor here. That's the thing in the middle of his forehead. That's a light sensor, and that tells him when it's light, when it's dark. And it's also how he communicates with other Furbies. But not only can this guy exist in the light, he prefers it. He gets scared of the dark. He'll say, "Me freaking," and just no, Furbies and Gizmos apparently do not mix. So let me wake this guy up, and we'll see what we're going to see and hear what we're going to hear. But before I do, let me just give you a quick warning. The mechanics inside of this thing are very, very loud, and I don't know if they've always been that way. I haven't used this guy in years. Might just be because he's old. He might need oiling inside. I'm not doing that. So you'll hear a lot of grinding going on inside of this guy, but let's wake up Gizmo and see what we have. Let's wake up Gizmo. There we go. Hi Gizmo, how you doing? Said hi Gizmo, how you doing? Alright, there's no sensors in his arms, they're just kind of plush, nothing in his feet. They're just stuck there so that it doesn't just look like a Furby, but you can pet his head. Said you could, thought you could pet his head, come on. Well, you can definitely tickle his stomach. You da bomb. Oh, you da bomb too, Gizmo. But if you say that in an airport, you'll be arrested. Come on. Oh, he liked that. Again. Alright. Oh, he's bored of that already. What are you gonna do? So, when he's talking, you see he opens his mouth. You see his red tongue in there. You press on his tongue to feed him. Which I always thought was kind of weird with Furbies, because essentially they're eating your fingertip. I guess you could put a tiny spoon in there. Slurp, slurp, yeah. Oh, he's full. He burps at you. Alright, let's see what happens when we put him upside down. Most Furbies don't like being upside down. Yeah, baby. Oh, he's dizzy. He kind of like that. Alright. How about we cover his face and put him in the dark? What happens then? Ah, there we go. Oh. So you heard him, he said me freaking and he's worried. He doesn't like the dark. This is just wrong for a Mogwai. This is wrong for any gremlin. Uh, why do you like the light, Gizmo? This should be injuring you. This should be hurting you right now. I don't particularly want to hurt you, but it would make sense if it did. No, yeah. No, peekaboo to you too, Gizmo. Okay, so he is cute. I'll give him that. He just doesn't really scream Mogwai for me. Come on. Didn't do anything for the nice boys and girls out there? Come on. Gizmo. Interact. Ah, he's all tired with that. No again, he says. Alright. Well, that's about it for Gizmo. Like I said, he does have a bunch of sayings. Unlike most Furbies that start off talking Furbish and later learn English the more you play with them, Gizmo, more or less, what you see is what you get. He starts off already speaking everything he's going to speak. And if you let him sit long enough, he'll get bored or tired and go back to sleep. He'll make little yawning noises, and I think he sings a little song, not the Mogwai song, but he does do a little singing, and then he goes back to bed. No idea what that meant. So, but we're not going to hang around that long, because no real need to. But that's the Gizmo Furby. So, is it worth picking up? You know, if you're a big Gremlins collector, it might be. Personally, I think it's a little too cutesified for a Mogwai. When you go back and watch, especially the first Gremlins movie, Gizmo's adorable, but he's got a little edge to him. He's got some real animal in him. This is just. But I can't deny it does have a certain charm. I just wish it followed the rules of the Mogwai more and sounded more like Gizmo, but that might be just me. So, guys, let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Would you like a Gizmo Furby? Does this sort of thing appeal to you? You think they did a good job, as well as they could at the time? And what other franchise do you think might have made good Furbies out of? Well, this has been the Starving Martian. We'll catch up with everybody later. Whatever. I can't think of a better way to end this video. Bye-bye.